friend of mine, Lee Grady, was in Nigeria a couple of years ago. And when he got back from Nigeria, he came back to his home in Florida, then flew to Boise, Idaho, and was with Irene and I. And Irene and I sat, and as he told us, his incredible dissatisfaction with the church in America, because he had just been preaching with a man in northern that went into northern Nigeria, where it's an Islam state, and the Muslims came into his home, killed all of his children in front of him, raped and killed his wife, then took his left wrist and cut his arm off at the left wrist, his right arm at the elbow. And this man, preaching the gospel of God's grace, would sneak back into those very men and people and preach the gospel to them and get back out. And Lee was working with them closely in that ministry. And he would look at that and compare it to home. And he would compare about the complaining. The complaining that goes on of everything. My God, I don't know if I'm going to get my welfare check. My God, I don't know if I'm going to make my boat payment. My God, I don't know, etc., etc., etc. The amount of strife and struggling that was in the church, and the pettiness of judgment against one another, and yet preaching a grace that is so big and so grand, not having any for one another, but preaching it. And he was ready to come back and fillet the American church. And Irene and I, after the many years of